Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Charlene, and in today's video we are going over the new Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Unlocked palette. I have it in the Swan packaging, but this is in actuality the Fox palette. So we're going to do a try on. We also are going to do a comparison to my last year's palette, which was the Lotus palette that was made for deeper complexions. So the Fox palette that I got in the Swan packaging is made for deeper complexion as well. So we're going to get into all of it. So if you want to see how it looks on my skin tone, if you want to see the comparisons to last year's palette, and you want to see my overall thoughts on it after I get everything on my face, then just stay tuned. And while you at it, this is a channel that focuses on beauty, fragrance, and lifestyle. So if that sounds good to you, be sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Other than that, let's get to it. As I said, I ordered this off of the Hourglass website because I wanted the Swan packaging. So this is how it came in this box, and you were able to get it customized. So they had the 3 palettes that you can choose from. They had a color palette choice 1, a color palette choice 2, and a color palette choice 3. And I'll be sure to be popping those up as I say that. But you could choose the palette packaging you wanted and then get whatever customizable palette you wanted inside of that packaging. So out of the 3 choices that they had available for the actual selection, they did put the Fox palette as one of the options that you can choose. So there was the Swan, the Fox, and the Deer palettes that you can customize into all 4 of the packaging. So the other packaging that you could have chose was the horse. But I love swans. So I prefer the Swan over the Fox, even though I thought the Fox was a cute packaging as well. I decided to go with this one. So this is what the Swan packaging looks like up close. I think it's gorgeous. And even though this is the Swan packaging with the Fox palette, the details on the back does match the details of the Fox. So when they customized this, they truly did customize it. So you still have the details of the palette that's inside on the actual packaging. So I thought that was very nice. So it's not like they just popped this in one that was still had the Swan information on it. So we're going to get to all the different things that's in this particular palette. So first of all, instead of, let me briefly go over the last year's palette with you. So last year's palette was this Lotus palette, right? I actually just did a makeup of the day using this palette. So if you, and I used everything. So if you would like to see like how this palette looked, the whole palette looks all over my face, then go back and check that video out. I'll make sure I pin it. But this is what the Lotus palette looked like, right? So it had the 2 highlighters, it gave you 2 blushes, and then they gave you a bronzer and a finishing powder. So you had that. So two of each of the highlighters and blushes, bronzer, finishing powder, right? So in the Fox palette, they did it a little different this year. So you got the 1 highlighter. So you got the 1 highlighter here that is Solar Glow. And this is a new shade. So Solar Glow is a new shade. Then they have here a blush. This is Canyon Heat. So Canyon Heat is also a new shade. And then they gave you 2 other blushes. So you got 3 blushes in this palette. So 3 blushes here. And this shade here is Amethyst Haze. This is a new blush. And then this one looks similar to one that they have in their collection. It says Lucid Glow. I've seen this shade before. It doesn't say it's new, so that tells me I am correct, and I've seen that shade before. And then the next shade here is the Bronzer and Bronze Fusion. And this one is new. So this is a new shade. And then Desert Light Finishing Powder. This is a new shade. So we're going to swatch all of these. Now, Hourglass Powders doesn't do the best with swatching. If you know anything about their powders, that's how they don't do good swatching, but they do good on the face. But I'm going to swatch them so you can see the side-by-side comparison to last year's palettes. So let me go ahead and swatch the highlighters together. So I'm going to take the highlighters from Lotus from last year, Gilded Strobe Light, and Rose Strobe Light. I'm going to put, let's see here. I want to make sure that you guys are seeing this. So this is the Golden Strobe Light, and this is the Rose Strobe Light. So this is the one from last year. So let's watch the new highlighter from the Fox palette that's inside this Swan packaging. And this is the new one that they said was Solar Glow. So this is the new shade here. So this is Solar Glow. And it's similar, a lot similar to last year's palette. It's a little different, but it is similar. So that is that one. So let's do all the blushes now. We had 2 blushes from last year palette, Desert Flush and Red O. So let's see here. So Desert Flush and Red O was from last year. So we got 3 more from this year. So let's see. First, we're going to do Canyon Heat. Then we have Amethyst Haze. And then the one that we're all familiar with is Lucid Glow. So let's do Canyon Heat. Then we got Amethyst Haze. And then we have Lucid Glow. Okay. So that's what those look like. Those 3 are the new ones, and these are the ones from last year. So like I say, they don't swatch the best, but you can see the colors. That's the 3 here that is from this year's palette. And so then we had the finishing powder from last year. They call this one Eternal Light. So Eternal Light, this is the finish powder for that. And then the finishing powder for this year is Desert Light. So a little bit lighter than last year's. So this is the new one from this year, the finishing powder. This was last year's. This was the 3 blushes from this year. That was the 2 from last year. That one's this year's highlighter, and this is the 2 from last year. So, all right, and the last but not least are the bronzers. The bronzer from last year, this one is Bronze Heat. This one had more of a cooler tone to it. Yep. And then the one from this year, it says Bronze Fusion. Let's see what Bronze Fusion look next to. So that one is definitely lighter than the other one. So what I'm going to do is swatch the whole palette by itself on my hand real quick, so you guys can just see what the palette looks like by itself. All right, so one last look at the comparison of everything together as far as last year versus this year palette. And this is this year's palette by itself. So that is your highlighter here. Again, that's in Solar Glow. This is the blush in Canyon Heat. The other blush in Lucid Glow. Then we have the blush in Amethyst Haze. And then this is the bronzer in Bronze Fusion. And this is the finishing powder that's in Desert Light. So of all the things here on my hand, everything is new. Everything is new except this blush. So if you was to take this blush out, these are all the other new shades that is added with this palette. So this is the Fox palette. So let's put the Fox palette on my face. All right, so the only thing that is on my face so far is my foundation. And I did put a little bit of setting powder under my eyes. The Too Faced powder, I just did my T-zone area under my eyes in my T-zone area. But I did it very lightly because I just want to make sure that we're doing a true test of this palette. Let's start with some blushes, why don't we? Pull my mirror back out. So, well, actually I want to start with the bronzer first, because that's what I tend to put on first. So let's put on Bronze Fusion. And I'm going to put it on with my Morphe R5 brush. Now, they did release brushes with these palettes. I did not pick up one of the brushes. But let's see here. I picked this one up because it has more of a point. And as you could tell with these palettes, because they're so close together, if you get too big of a brush, then you're going to be touching on other products. So let's see what this bronzer is doing on my complexion. And you do see it. I'm just building it up to see how much it will build. It's looking good. So yes, compared to this side, you do see that it is there. All right, let's go ahead and do the other side. And I tend to take my bronzer up around my edging. So let's just do how I normally do. Take some under here. All right, so far so good. It's giving me a nice subtle bronze. It's not doing too much, and it's giving me enough. So all right, so that is the bronzer. So let's see, what blush do we want to try? I want to try them all, but without doing too much. So let's see here. Let me do a tap of the Amethyst Haze just so you can kind of see it a little bit. I just want to tap it to see what that shade. Very pigmented. I'm going to keep that higher up, but you could definitely see that color. Yep. I'm going to do that on both sides. Just a little bit. So you definitely can build this one up. It will definitely be a lot stronger than what I'm putting it on. But you can definitely see that it gives a nice little plummy color. All right, so that is the first one. I'm going to grab another brush. I'm gonna grab this Danessa Myers Beauty Yummy Face 1.0 brush. It has a nice little point to it as well. So I want to take Canyon Heat, which is this one here. So we started with this one, Amethyst Haze. Now I'm going to do Canyon Heat, then I'm going to do Lucy Glow last. So let's do a little bit of Canyon Heat right here to kind of blend into the other one so we can see what it looks like. You can definitely see that it's more of a corally color. So you can see where it's a little plummier here and it's more coral here. Yeah, looks good. Like it. And this one has a little bit of a sheen to it as well. All right, very nice. All right, so let's see what I kind of don't want to do Lucid Glow, because Lucid Glow isn't a new shade, but we'll just add it. I'll just add it right here on the cheek so you can see it. See, it's right here. So yes, it is showing up just fine. It's a beautiful color. So kind of blend all that together. So what do you guys think of the blushes? All right, I like them. So far so good. All right, so let's go on now. Let's see here. They gave us this one highlight in Solar Glow. So let's see how Solar Glow looks on the top of these. It is beautiful. Very reflective. Very reflective. I'm actually going to take a little bit of that. I'm going to take my Crown C513 brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that one to my inner corner. Just a little bit. All right. So the only thing we haven't used yet is the finishing powder. So I'm going to take my Rephr 24 brush and tap that into the finishing powder and buff everything in. So, what do you guys think? This is my Fox palette. All over my face. So all in all, what is my thoughts on this new palette? You guys tell me, what do you think? Because I like it. I like it a lot. I think it did a very good job. I think everything will work well on my complexion. So I'm really excited about that. again, just for comparison purposes, this was last year's palette, the Lotus. This is this year's palette, the Fox. And they both work beautifully on my skin complexion. So, and you saw the comparisons that I did on my arm, so you can compare the two. They're not the same. The bronzers are not the same. The highlighters, the one highlight is similar, but it's not the same, but it's very similar. But these are all new shades, and they all work very nice. So I am happy with the palette. I am glad that I did pick it up, and I am super excited that I was able to get it with the swan packaging, because that's what was really calling to me the most. So I'm happy to have that one as well. So tell me down below, what do you think? We did a little bit of the more berry tone blush up further up. We did more of the Canyon Heat color, that was that more corally color. And then the Lucid Glow, which is the shade that is already in their collection. We did that more on the upper cheek. And then this is the highlighter that was in the palette, and I did pop it there in my inner corner. So the finishing powder itself is fine as well, and I had no problem with, you do see a slight bronze here, so the bronze did work pretty good for my complexion as well. So I am super excited for the palette. I am happy that I got it, like I said. So you drop down what you think below in the comments. Will you be picking this palette up? Have you already picked it up, and are you enjoying it? I would like to hear your thoughts on it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.